Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto Was the Grand Priest and the Omni King Reincarnation. Remember to get this one too. 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels if you're new. Yes, that's correct. I indeed have 3 more channels which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. Anime King 3 Anime Symbol. All the links will be down in the description. So go ahead and check them out. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode, shall we? Let's begin now, guys. So the last part we left off, a small child was roaming through Konoha as he came across a Hyuga compound where he spotted a Kumo ninja in the process of kidnapping a young Hyuga. With his intervention, he came face to face with the bandit. As he was able to teleport, the man was confused at first before realizing that he had to neutralize the threat, so he went straight for the kid. Unfortunately though, the kid seemed to just be toying with him. Despite the man being a fully fledged jonin, and the child being just that, a child, he toyed with the man like he was absolutely nothing. His teleportation allowed him to move much faster from one place to another. He ended up taking the girl away as he put her somewhere safe. Realizing that he needed a distraction, the man aimed his shuriken and kunais towards the girl, trying to use it to buy time. He did not even blink as he took off at blinding speed, trying to get out of there, but he angered the child. Well, it seems like that. He could not escape as the child arrived and rests his hand on his shoulder before he slammed his palm in his chest. The force hit him like a cannonball as he was launched. He crashed through a couple of the buildings within the Hyuga compound. After that, the child arrived and stripped him of his chakra. Yes, he completely took his chakra away, like it was never there to begin with. Hayashi and the others arrived as the child, now known as Naruto, told them everything that they need to know to show that he was not the one doing all of this. And it was that man there. When Hiruzen arrived, he seemed to know full well who was the boy, as he seemed rather upset. Sometime later, after examining the opponent that Naruto had faced, the analyst on chakra could not understand, as the man possessed absolutely not even a shred of chakra. He didn't understand how, or how that was even possible. Hayashi wanted answers though, as Hiruzen gave him a brief summary of who that boy was. To the rest of the village, the container of the 9 tails had perished and died, so everyone thought that the burden was gone, that they would not be plagued by the monster roaming around the village. However, that was what Hiruzen told them, because he saw from day one that Naruto was special. Just a few years in the orphanage and Naruto ended up killing everyone there. As he wasn't able to control his abilities, he turned them all into dust. Having Hiruzen witness what happened through his own memories, that is when Hiruzen realized that his abilities and powers are something that are truly abnormal. He can do things that no other else could do. As the time passed by, Hiruzen monitored Naruto for a couple of years. Throughout that time, Naruto met his parents. As it wasn't hard, he could feel chakra all around him and inside him as well, and he met and spoke to them. He also spoke to the Nine Tails, but not only that, he freed the beasts. It was rather simple, a bit complicated at first, but once he started to understand, his mind was like a vacuum absorbing everything. Naruto created a dimension, a literal space breaking through this time, where he stored the beasts and several other powerful things that he created. Yes, it was something easy for him, just to show the depth of the abilities that he possessed. Hiruzen and Danzo was standing at the final testing area, where they attacked Naruto with everything they could perceive to do. However, the child deflected and diffused everything like it was absolutely nothing. Nothing could compare to the power that he possessed, allowing him to free roam through the village. He was 10 years old, making his way, as he met someone. Her name was Sadara Uchiha. She was a younger sister of Shisui Uchiha. That is when Naruto remembered what he did. A few years back, what was gonna take place was a coup from the Uchiha side, and that was going to be really horrible. Something needed to be done about that. They needed to find a way to stop it. So Naruto was listening, because he tended to spy on people majority of the time. He had a way. Shisui and Itachi were confused. The amount of trust that the Hokage placed in this boy. And when he said that he could simply take away the memories, Shisui found it to be the same thing that he would do, but Naruto told him that he was wrong. That is the only reason why the Uchihas are still amongst them, because Naruto stripped every single ounce of information at the coup from all of their memories, the elders, Fukaku, and every single other member. He stripped away the memory like it was nothing, completely destroying it. It was from that day on that Itachi and Shisui knew that he wasn't something normal, and they now understood why the Hokage was hiding him. But now Naruto was free. Although Sadara spent the rest of that day looking for him, as she thought that she had spoken to a ghost, because no one saw him or heard of him. It wasn't long before Hiruzen announced to the village on who Naruto was, that he was a son of Minato and Kushina Uzumaki. Everyone was shocked. Their fourth Hokage had a child, as they celebrated to know that his legacy never truly died, and a piece of him was here with them, as Naruto teleported, making the after effect look rather golden, to make them believe that it was a yellow flash. Many were shocked. As the news spread through the village, it spread to the other nations rather quickly, as it didn't take long for the Raikage to pick up on what his ninja had said. The Raikage had tried to bring peace because of the failed kidnapping, and executed the man for the crimes that he did, saying that he had nothing to do with it. However, the man had spoke about the boy that stopped him, and now it made sense. Damn Namikaze, he cursed. The other villages were also getting angry and upset about this. Once again, Konoha was going to be further and further and further beyond their strength. However, there was other unlikely forces out there. Things that weren't in the elemental nation that was just starting up because of Naruto's existence, because he wasn't normal and he shouldn't be here. As Naruto attended the academy on his first day, Sadara saw him and realized that he was actually real. So yeah guys, basically let's play it off. You guys can switch across and please check it off yourselves to begin this new episode. He had to say, the academy was not as cracked up as he thought it would be. At the moment, they were having lunch break as Naruto sat alone. Throughout the upper half of the day, they had to listen to the teacher Aruka speak. His lessons, Naruto found them rather unimportant and boring. Well, in terms of his education, there was nothing that man could teach him that he would not already know. His brain collect and process information on a completely different level than normal humans. Because by now Naruto was certain that he wasn't like everyone else, and he figured that out a long time ago, as he sat by himself. Well, he did see two familiar faces, one that he saw a very long time ago, and one that he saw recently in the academy. Speaking of, making her way straight over towards him was none other than Hinata Hyuga. Hinata was a very shy girl when she was younger, extremely so, shy than most other kids, even at her young age. However, on that night, when he saved her life, he changed everything about her, and he did not even know that. Even though she was young, she was rather smart for her age. Majority of Hyugas were. As she started to hear people saying that, how bad things would have been if she was kidnapped. Hinata felt like she was to be blamed, despite knowing that there was nothing she could do at the time. It was her own self-doubt and her guilt, even at a young age, that she possessed. However, she wanted to make sure something like that never happened again. She had a younger sister. Her mother passed away shortly after giving birth to Hanabi, and she wanted to make sure that she was here for her, and also she wanted to make sure that Hanabi was safe. The one that saved her with the crystal blue eyes. He was strong. He was fearless in the face of danger. She wanted to be just as strong as him. Unfortunately, when she spoke to her father on the matter, he pretended like the boy did not exist. She spent years trying to find out who that was. She has met many people, which allowed her to get over her confidence issue a lot, but none of them were him. When she heard about the Hokage's son, she did not think of it twice. However, there was a voice in the back of her mind, hoping that it was him, and he was in hiding. That is why her father could not talk about it. And after all these years, watching him step into the academy, it brought a smile to her face, despite it being when she was 3 years old, over 7 years ago. She remembered him quite clearly, and that was him. There was no doubt about it, she thought, as she made her way towards him, other kids looking her way, as they started to whisper amongst themselves. She did not pay them any mind, as she headed straight towards him. He spoke before she could even open her mouth, despite the fact that his back was turned to her. The teacher didn't give me enough time to say hello. So, you remember me? Of course I do. It was 7 years ago. I saved you from that bandit. Hinata looked relieved as she looked at him. So, it's really you, isn't it? Of course. Who else would it be? Do you remember my name? He asked. Yes, Naruto, she said. Remembering hearing the Hokage call him that name, she never forgot it, despite the years that passed. Well, Hinata Hyuga, he said, stepping towards her. I guess we have finally reunited. So you are real then. A voice spoke up, causing Naruto to turn. Standing there was Sadara, as she noticed Hinata interacting with him. A look flashed across her face in a second, but she didn't say anything on the matter. Ah, my other friend, said Naruto. I thought it was weird that no one heard or even seen you. So, that is why you didn't want to expose much about yourself. Because the Hokage was going to make a big announcement, and you didn't want anyone finding out just yet. Exactly, he said. And here I thought I was going crazy, believing that you didn't really exist. She said, stepping towards him. You know her? Hinata said. Yeah, I met her a couple of weeks ago, when I finally returned to the village, he said, as he did not explain much on that. The two girls shared a look, as Naruto immediately noticed that. So you're him, huh? Naruto gazed up, so did the girls. Standing there was Kiba Inuzaka. Behind him was a couple of students, a whole lot of them to be quite exact. Sasuke Uchiha, along with a few other Uchihas, leaned up against the tree as they watched the action, as they seemed to follow every word that came from Sasuke. Well, except for Sadara, given the fact that she was nearby. Naruto could read him like a book, as he already knew what he desired. He figured that something like this might happen, given the title that his father had. Kiba stepped forward as Naruto had still not yet spoken. "I wouldn't do that if I were you, dog boy." Sadara spoke up, as Kiba simply scoffed. "Everyone know how it has to go," he said, especially with a latecomer, as he cracked his knuckles. "What exactly are you talking about?" said Naruto, feigning ignorance. "We've heard about you, the son of the Hokage. Some say that you received some special training. Many are too afraid to go head to head with you. But I, on the other hand, I'm afraid of nothing," Kiba said. "That is why I'm here to test what you're capable of." Over to the side as Choji was munching on some chips. "He just got here. Why does Kiba has to already pick a fight with him?" Choji said. Shikamaru yawned as he was sitting on the ground. "You already know how he is. And if you want to get his ass kicked, it's his fault." Choji looked down. "Why do you believe that Naruto will defeat him? I mean, Kiba is a good fighter. He's up there with the top fighters in the class. And that was right. Because of his background, the Inazaka fighting style put him on another level than most of the civilian students. It's just a feeling," Shikamaru said as he looked towards Naruto. "Something about this Naruto individual. I can tell that something is up." Choji looked down. "What do you mean?" "Just watch and see." Shikamaru did not know what it was, but he had a feeling that this guy was no slouch. It was a way that he looked unassuming. He did not put up a scary front. He did not look towards anyone without a smile. He seemed to be so carefree, which made Shikamaru think that he was a really powerful individual, just by looks alone. Back over towards the scene. "Ah, I see now. So you want to test me," said Naruto, still feigning ignorance, as he already knew exactly what he came here to do. "Not test, but to put these rumors to rest. Some saying that you already possess a jutsu that your father had. I heard it's an awesome jutsu. I doubt someone like you, though, would be able to have that already." "And why would you doubt that?" said Naruto. "A gut feeling," Kiba said. "Now, enough talking," as he cracked his knuckles. "You're going to learn today who's the alpha. After all, I have to maintain my position within the academy." Hinata opened her mouth, but Naruto turned towards her with a smile. "Oh, it's quite alright. I'm not gonna hurt him." "What?" Kiba said, picking up on that. "You're not gonna hurt me?" "Yeah," said Naruto. "So, you wanna do this?" Kiba dropped into his guard. "Don't go crying to the teachers once I kick your ass, okay?" "Don't worry, I won't," said Naruto. "I hope you don't do the same." As all the students gather around them. A distance away, Iruka was watching everything. He should intervene, but he was not going to. Majority of the time this always happened, but majority of the time it always turned into something healthy. A friendly rival. And Naruto. Iruka had to say that he liked Naruto's personality. "So, what do you think?" Mizuki said, arriving beside him. Glancing towards Mizuki. "On the match. Yeah, who do you think will come out on top?" "Well, given that he's been held back from the academy, we aren't privy to that information. There has to be a reason. I think, despite not knowing his strength, he's gonna take this one." "Yeah, I think so too," Mizuki said. "There's something rather unassuming about him. It's like he's pretending, like he isn't strong." "You see that too, huh?" "Yeah, it's just a vibes I'm picking up on." Over to the other side, Sasuke was watching the match. Being the son of the clan head had certain quirks, with the other Uchihas doing as he say. Despite not in line to take over, Itachi was. He was a top dog within the academy. Sasuke watched, his arms folded. If Kiba wanted to test this one, then fine. As the match began by Kiba charging forward, leaving Akamaru behind. His main thing was taijutsu, close-to-close combat. Kiba threw a fist, a right hook then a left. He twisted and swiped at Naruto, but To his surprise, Naruto deflected and dodged all of them that came his way. With that smile on his face as usual, he stepped away from Kiba and he was moving around him. The problem was, Naruto knew every single type of fighting. It didn't matter what it was. Upon seeing it once, upon going through it once, his body automatically understood the movement and the flow. So he could study Kiba moves and replicate it within seconds. That is just how his mind and body work. The only way for Kiba to win was to overpower Naruto in strength or speed, and those things would never be a possibility. Whoa, Kiba can't even touch him. Many of them started to whisper amongst themselves. As Sasuke started to focus more on this Naruto Namikaze, seeing how he moves, his body simply refused to allow Kiba to touch it. It didn't matter what Kiba did, it didn't matter how fast he pushed himself. Nothing could penetrate Naruto's defense. Nothing could even get close. Kiba came to a stop as he had to take several deep breaths. He's more amazing than I thought. Hinata whispered, however Kiba was close to her. And that angered him, as he knew that she was talking about Naruto. It was simple, he had a crush on her. And to hear her say that about another guy, Kiba became more feral and attacked with a more potency. His swings, his kicks, his punch. His strength was more greater than before. However, it was the same result. Naruto was merely toying with him. I knew that he was something special. The moment he replicated my move when we first met, Sadara thought to herself, as everyone locked in on the match. I knew it. Mizuki said, standing next to Iruka. The kid is something. As Iruka nodded his head, Kiba was getting tired and it was showing. As he came to a stop, catching his breath. So, is that it? Said Naruto, further aggravating and angering Kiba by his words. I'm not done yet, Kiba said. I'm nowhere close to being done. Fine. I guess it's time that I start to fight back. Whoa, you hear that? He wasn't even trying. Some of the girls started to whisper as they watched with interest. Kiba yelled as he rushed forward, however. In the span of a second, Naruto stood in front of Kiba as he placed 2 fingers on top of his forehead. Everyone was confused, not understanding what happened. Kiba crumbled on the ground, his eyes rolling back as he passed out, just like that. Everyone was confused. They looked at each other. No words were said. Hinata did not seem surprised. Even though it was some time ago, she's already seen him do amazing things. But they couldn't understand, how did Kiba just pass out like that? And how did he get in front of him? The kids did not see the transition between his moves, so they couldn't understand what the hell just happened. Naruto leaned down as he pressed his finger on Kiba's head once again, which woke him up as he jumped up. Where am I? Kiba looked around. What? He jumped to his feet, looking at Naruto with shock. What did you do to me? I told you that I was going to fight back, said Naruto. Didn't you hear me? Besides, Kiba froze as Naruto was now standing behind him as he rested his hand on his shoulder. You're going to need a lot more training if you want to hope to beat someone like me. However, that can be good. Think of it as a way to break your mark and break through your limitations, Naruto said. Kiba jumped as he turned around. How did you get from there to there so quickly? He asked, confused. What are you talking about? Kiba froze up once again as Naruto stood behind him. I simply moved. Spinning around, Kiba didn't understand. There's no way you're that fast. Are you using some kind of trick? Some jutsu or something? Wait, I heard about your father's technique. It allows you to move from one place to another. Oh, trust me, said Naruto, standing directly in front of him. That's not it. I'm just really fast. Whoa, Shikamaru, you were dead on, Choji said. I knew it, but I never expected him to be this strong, Shikamaru said, sounding rather surprised. Most things did not surprise him, but this was different. This guy was different. Time skip. Since that day, Naruto and Kiba had become friends. Him and majority of the students had become friends, except for a select few. As for Hinata and Sadara, he soon realized why. He saw a bit of tension between them. As well known, the Hyuga and Uchiha clan did not really get along, and both girls were sharing the top spot for kunoichis within the class. The top spot for the boys was held by Sasuke. However, in just 2 years, Naruto found himself at number 2. The only reason why he did not pass Sasuke as of yet was because Sasuke had been in the academy for much longer. As the years went by, they were eventful. Hanging out with Sadara, Naruto was allowed to enter into the Uchiha compound. Shisui and Itachi pretended like it was the first time they were meeting, when it was not, as they were there when Naruto erased the memory of all the Uchihas. Naruto also spoke to the mother of Sasuke Uchiha, a lovely woman. Her name was Mikoto Uchiha. She was good friends with his mother. Upon telling her that he knew, she was confused, as Naruto simply spoke, telling her that his mother chakra was sealed inside of him upon her death, so he was able to meet her. Mikoto was surprised to hear that, but knowing that his father was a seal master, she shouldn't be that surprised. Hiruzen had been taking stock of Naruto over the past 2 years, and there has been nothing that proved that Naruto was out of control. In fact, he's been perfectly stable. So Hiruzen started a lesson on the tension, as Danzo wasn't fully convinced of yet, but still, everything has been a-okay. At the moment, it seems like a rather dreadful storm was going to bear down on the Hidden Leaf village. Standing on top of the monument, as Naruto stood there gazing up at the sky, his eyes flashed a purple color just for a brief second, and the next moment, the clouds started to vanish. They were being destroyed one after another until the sky was clear and beautiful. The citizens down below were surprised. They thought that a huge storm would rain down upon them, but they were wrong, as Naruto stood there. The past 2 years had been rather eventful for him. He had made a lot of friends, learned things that he never expected to learn, emotional and friendship-wise, because that was a part that he couldn't conquer that easily. But so far, everything seemed to be going rather great. Time skip. The tests that determine if you become a ninja or not, he had to say it was truly lacking. Yes, greatly so. It was lacking severely. As Naruto was making his way home, headband on his forehead, as usual, people greeted him. They smile and they wave. He supposed normal people would be feeling sad right now when they watch the parents come to pick up their kids. However, he didn't feel sad. He never felt bothered by the fact that he was an orphan. It never truly bothered him at all. He was just okay with it. As Naruto was walking, he suddenly teleported away, shocking many. Around a few hours later, Naruto returned, as he's been working on something. Upon returning, he could tell that something was wrong, even before he made a move to investigate, as he noticed the ninjas heading from rooftop to rooftop. Naruto cloaked himself, as he bent light itself around him, before he teleported off. Arriving, he saw there was something being taking place on the Hokage's tower, as he heard the old man said that the scroll of sealing had been stolen. Naruto was shocked to hear that, as he sent the members to spread out and find it. Naruto's eyes pinpointed every single ninja that was standing there, until his eyes fell on Mizuki, their academy teacher. Naruto could see the conflicting in his aura, as everyone else had a determined look to find the scroll. He, on the other hand, his gaze was set on something else. Naruto followed behind him, making his way as Mizuki kept on watching his surroundings as he headed straight towards the forest. Upon arriving at said forest, Mizuki headed inside. He made his way toward a small little wooden house that was situated in the forest. Inside there was someone, a man known as Toji, another chunin that Mizuki had promised a lot for his help, his cooperation as he worked. Nearby where the scroll was being kept, Toji came out as he was wrapping bandage on his arm. He had to take out two other chunins. I diverted all the search this way. It's time we get out of here, Mizuki said, as he was one step closer into achieving his dreams, what he desired. As him and Toji was about to leave, Naruto arrived, shocking the daylight out of the both of them. They looked at him with surprise and caution. Hey kid, what are you doing here? Toji said. That's nothing for you to concern yourself with. I must say, I didn't think much of most people, but I would have never pegged you for a traitor, said Naruto. Well, I guess it's my fault. I don't really care about certain people, so I don't focus on them. Therefore, they go under my radar, and you were one that I didn't care about. Naruto, what are you talking about? Mizuki said. I'm your teacher, remember? Well, not really. You're the co-teacher, said Naruto. And by the way, I can see the scroll, said Naruto as he looked behind Toji. Toji glared at him. We have to take the kid out. You don't understand. This brat, he isn't normal. I've watched him for the past 2 years in the academy. He has these strange abilities that doesn't really make sense. And he's fast as well. That doesn't matter, Toji said. If we get caught, we're screwed. We have to go now. We can't afford to waste any more time here. As he gave him a look, Mizuki already understand. He was the one that was supposed to be leading things, but understanding who they were facing despite him being a kid, Mizuki had seen a lot of shocking things over the past 2 years. And he didn't want to underestimate this boy. Not in the slightest. As Naruto was standing there, that half-crooked smile on his face as usual, as he was just standing there as calm as ever. Something did not seem right. However, the both of them moved at the same time, intending on overriding him with their speed. One went left, the other went right. Shurikens and kunais were launched directly towards him. Toji also knew that this was the son of Minato Namikaze, so they could not underestimate him even if he was young. As the weapons were hurled towards Naruto, they hit. No, wait. They ricocheted on the ground. What the hell? Toji said in confusion as the weapons clattered on the ground. Mizuki pulled the massive Fuma Shuriken and launched it. Move, he said. That should be enough diversion as the both of them took off. As they were speeding through the forest, Naruto was running side by side with Toji. Really? Did he really think that was a good distraction? Naruto said, casually talking to him. Toji stopped as he sank his feet into the ground and spun and lashed out a brutal kick. Naruto blocked it with one arm. As Toji punched, Naruto grabbed it and applied an amount of force that caused the man to wince in pain. Toji pulled a kunai and thrust it towards Naruto's eye without hesitation, but the weapon ceased to exist in Toji's hand, utterly confusing him. Mizuki saw the opportunity as he dashed forward. His kunai slammed into Naruto's back, something that Naruto allowed to happen. I suppose you now realize that your efforts are just a waste of time. There was nothing in Mizuki's hand. The weapon simply ceased to exist. As Naruto sent the both of them sailing by simply flicking his hand, they were launched through several trees. Pretty hard, as their bodies crushed against it with a terrible amount of force. Naruto made his way as he picked up the scroll off the ground. As he examined it, the next second the scroll vanished out of his palm. Making his way in the forest, Naruto stood where Mizuki was lying on the ground, as he was lying on his stomach area. Don't tell me that was enough to knock you out. I don't believe that you are that weak. Mizuki decided to screw the plan. He had to get out of here. The choice of Konoha capturing him was too great. If they did capture him, his life would be hell. He jumped away, revealing the explosive tags that were on the ground. Boom! An explosion went off, swallowing Naruto in the process. Toji reappeared, looking scuffed up himself. Did you get him? Toji said. Yeah, right in the center of the blast, Mizuki said. But that must have alerted many. I have no idea where the scroll is. Screw the scroll. We have to get the hell out of here. The both of them were under the same understanding, as they couldn't afford to get caught right here and now. They had to at least move from this area. After all, if the kid was dead, there was no one to tell them about them stealing the scroll. However, before they could move, good trick, they froze. As Naruto stood in between the both of them, in the center of his palm was a golden orb, and in the center of that orb was the explosion, festering and twisting inside. Neat trick, huh? I was able to gather the explosion even after the blast. It will be really complicated to explain how, but it's rather colorful, isn't it? Said Naruto, as he held it in his hand. You know, this is fun. Usually, I don't get to explore my more difficult abilities because, well, I never really fought someone to actually wanted to end their life. Because most people I fought is just been training or a bunch of kids. And I know if I kicked it up a notch, everyone that I fought so far would be dead. But with you guys, you're scum, traitors, so I can punish you how I see fit. As Naruto smiled, a blood-curdling scream could be heard throughout the forest. A terrifying blood-curdling scream. The Onvus and ninjas that were gathering fluttered to the area when they saw Mizuki and Toji, both chunins on the ground. As their hands were covering their heads, they were trembling in fear and screaming. They were so terrified. When they looked up, they immediately confessed, We did it. We stole the forbidden scroll. Take us away. Take us away from him. Standing there was a smiling Naruto, seeming rather calm and nonchalant, as he chuckled slightly, as he was still holding the explosion in his hand. Naruto started turning his hand counterclockwise, and the explosion started to change, until it reverted back to an explosive tag. Naruto had just tampered with time like it was nothing, reversing the explosive, and he was now holding a tag. The Onvus walked over, as one of them looked down towards him. What happened here? As Mizuki and Toji were not in the right state of mind to explain. Oh, well, I assume that you're talking about their mental state. I had to rough them up a bit. They were behaving rather bad, he said with a crooked smile. Oh yeah. He held his hand out as a scroll materialized in his hand. I guess I brought this back for you guys. The Onvu took it and examined it, to confirm that it was indeed a scroll, as they headed back to the village. Time skip. Naruto would not tell what he did to them, as both men were so genuinely terrified of him, to the point they were willing to do anything to stay away from him, as he was just finding this rather humorful. While this seemed to be an offsetting behavior, Hiruzen saw the merits in Naruto's personality of using this on traitors, and he got by the forbidden scroll, so that was good. Time skip. As Hiruzen resided in his office, a lot of information had been taken from Toji and Mizuki. Toji was just a middleman. Mizuki was the real deal in all of this. It turns out that he wanted to give that scroll to none other than Orochimaru. Mizuki didn't really have any face-to-face close talking with the Sannin. He was just a pawn in a much larger game. As Hiruzen thought about the possibility of Orochimaru actually putting his trust in someone like Mizuki, he highly doubted that. After all, he would have been there if he trusted him that much. And besides, even if he had came, well, and he had came face to face with Naruto, Hiruzen doubted that Orochimaru would have survived. That is how much he believed in Naruto's powers and skills. Speaking of skills, as he was looking down at the team's skills, as he was rearranging them, Hiruzen already had an idea how he wanted things to go, as he was putting the teams together, one another, to boost each other and what they had. The problem was Naruto. There was nothing that he was lacking. He was an excellent sensor, a tracker. There was nothing. Middle fighting, close range, long range. He had it all. Therefore his was a toss-up. But Hiruzen already had an idea where he wanted to place him. Time skip the academy. Arriving, Naruto was greeted by many as he sat within the academy. Iruka did not mention Mizuki or what he had done. Iruka seemed to be ashamed that his friend would have done something like this, as Naruto did not blame him. He went on for what seemed to be hours, but in reality it was just a couple of minutes, as he was talking about how much he was proud of them, as he had watched them grown from small child into true ninjas, and he was proud. He was proud to take the title as their first sensei. So with that, he started to announce the teams. Naruto heard his name on Team 7. His was actually the first name to be called, and there was many that wanted to be placed on his team. Hinata Hyuga, her eyes widened in shock and surprise. Over the past 2 years, Naruto and her had become rather close. She even brought him over to the compound. Most people did not get that privilege, as he met her younger sister Hanabi. He got along really well with her father, who was not immediately upset by having to waste time with a child, because Naruto was no ordinary child. With her rise in academics and physical abilities, the clan was seeing her in a much greater light, and her father was being praised highly for raising the next generation of a clan head. However, Hinata hated, she truly hated and despised the barbaric mark that they wanted to brand her little sister with, just because she outclassed her, and they were both daughters of Hayashi. She wanted to do something to change that, as she didn't want her sister to be marked, to be caged. However, at the moment she wasn't sure that there was anything she could do about it. She had spoken to her father on the matter, but he was always a stickler for the rules, tradition. However, when she spoke to Hisashi, father of Neji Hyuga, her cousin, Hisashi was against it. Hisashi was her uncle, and he loved them dearly. He didn't want them to be marked. He wanted them to be set free. She hated that any member in her clan had it. Neji, who had taken up the role as one of her guards for some time now. However, he had a life as well, and she didn't want to burden that just because she was the next in line to be the clan head. However, she was glad. Of all the people she wanted to be placed on a team on, he was her number one. The next name though, she didn't like that name. Sadara Uchiha. While Hinata wasn't a violent person, the both of them had had something since the start of the academy. She knew that it focused on the background of her clan. However, when she just met her, she tried to be her friend. However, Sadara also had her clan interest in heart as well. And thus the both of them became rivals, fighting for the number one spot. However, the both of them got excellent grades, and they were perfect in all of the academics. So yes, they were tied. Sadara glanced over before. As she glanced towards Hinata, their gaze meeting for a brief moment. Of all the people she expected to be on a team with, she was not one of them. However, she was glad that Naruto was on her team. Their sensei would be Kakashi Hatake. Team 8 was Shino, Kiba, and a girl known as Ami Uzuki. Their sensei would be Kurna Iwai. Team 9 was still in circulation. Team 10 was the Inoshika Cho. Asuma would be their sensei. Team 11 was Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sai. No last name. Their sensei would be Shisui Uchiha. Hearing that, Sadara wasn't surprised. Her brother had told her that he would be taking on a team. She was actually glad that it wasn't her team. Not to make a misunderstanding, she loved her brother. Yes, he was there for her when their parents passed away. She loved her brother with all of her heart. But she also wanted to make a name for herself, to find out who she was without his shadow hovering over her. And he knows that as well. However, he's given her the tool and guidance for her to find that out about herself. So she was okay with this result. As Iruka said his final goodbyes to them, wishing them luck on their journey, and with that, he headed off. Unfortunately though, Team 7 was the only team that was remaining after what seemed to be hours, as every other sensei came by. Sadara wondered what the hell was taking this Kakashi Hatake so long. She knew who that was. While she had not had many interaction with him, she'd seen him a couple of times before, and her brother had spoken about him as well. Hey, the both of them turned as Naruto spoke up. They looked towards him. Is everything going to be alright with you two, being on this team together? Why would you say that, said Sadara, as Hinata remained quiet. Well, you two haven't had the best track record, said Naruto, from what I've seen. So I just want to know if everything's gonna be okay. There will be no problem on my side, Hinata said. Looking away. Me neither, Sadara said, turning her gaze as well. Huh, fun, Naruto said. An hour went by. Seriously, where the hell is this guy, Sadara said. We've been waiting for hours now, and he still hasn't shown up yet. Kakashi Hatake, huh? Never met him before, but he was a student of my father. As Naruto sat down, when the door finally opened up, as a bucket of water splashed down on top of the man. Sadara and Hinata were confused. Where did that come from, the both of them asked. Kakashi stepped inside, now covered in water, as he didn't even bother to dodge it. He looked at all of them, seeing the big goofy smile on Naruto's face. My first impression of all of you? Well, I hate you all, he said. Plain and simple. As all of them sweat dropped except for Naruto, who was still laughing at the whole scene. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. No, make it 10, he said. With that, he was gone. As Naruto picked himself up, Naruto, Hinata said, Yeah? Did you do that? Yeah. I thought he deserved it for keeping us waiting so long. But where did the water come from? And where did the bucket go? How did Hinata said, confused. I'm just as lost as her, Sadara said. How did you do that? Well, they say a magician never reveals his secrets. Let's just say that's one of mine, said Naruto. As he waved them off, I'm kidding, he said. I simply created it. You... what? They looked towards him confused. Well, I guess we have 10 minutes while he dries off. Whole noticed Hana's staff appeared. It was a black staff with a ring at the top, with a golden orb simply floating there. They looked at him confused, not understanding what was going on. How did you do that? I didn't see you weave any hand sign. Even Hinata was surprised. She saw Naruto teleport, she saw him fight, but she never see him just bring things into existence. That was a whole nother level of crazy. As both of them looked at him with interest. I have these abilities. Several of them, in fact. And this is one of them, said Naruto. I can create things. As Naruto held the staff up, 10 buckets of water appeared. Before they turned over as the girls covered their head, however. Before they could touch them, the water stopped and fused together, creating an orb, swirling above them, before it bursts. raining down fragments upon them, which felt so cool and refreshing. Wow, the both of them said, as a literal rainbow appeared in the classroom, shocking them. Time skip. A fully dried Kakashi watched as they arrived, exactly on time. However, both of the girls seemed amazed as they were looking at Naruto, who was simply smiling as usual. Kakashi had heard a lot about him. He never had the chance to truly interact with him. The Hokage had thought that it was in his best interest that Naruto be kept out of the public eye. And everyone did not know anything about him. So Kakashi was also under the understanding that he was dead. Alright, he said. Now that you're all here, let us begin with an introduction, he said to them. Let's start with you, he said, looking towards Sadara. What do you want to know, she said. Well, likes, dislikes, hobbies, dreams. She thought about it. As you all know, my name is Sadara Uchiha. I really like pockets, they're nice. I also enjoy reading books that entail adventures, with someone breaking away from normalcy and heading into a different direction completely. I dislike when people look at others just because of their background and not knowing or understanding anything about that person as an individual. My dream is to make a name for myself, to show people, to show everyone what makes me me, what gives me my name, she said. Kakashi nodded, finding the young girl's speech rather endearing. It was good, he thought to himself. He skipped towards Hinata next. My name is Hinata Hyuga, she said. I like cinnamon buns. Sweet things in general, but mostly cinnamon buns. They did not speak about their family because it was under the assumption that they all love their family. I dislike the traditions that are taking place in my clan, and my dream is to become the next clan head of my clan and change everything about the way of the Hyuga, she said. The determination on her face. It did not show any doubt or guilt that she would achieve what she was desiring. Alright, your last, Blondie, he said. Well, I suppose you already know my name. Naruto scratched his chin. I guess I like a lot of things. Life in general. Things that are not boring, things that bring me excitement. Those are the things I like the most. I dislike boring things. I dislike things that are slow and uneventful. As for dreams and goals, well, I guess I desire to understand what I am. Not just physically, but mentally. To understand the true concept and depth of what makes Naruto Namikaze. To understand my limitations, if there are any. To understand my purpose and my goal. My reason for existence. Kakashi was stunned. Someone so young to have this mind and speech in this way. But it wasn't just him, all of his team. They had a viable goal. He had to say, his thoughts about not having a team was quickly coming around. This team wasn't so bad as he thought. Time skip. It's simple, said Kakashi. Your goal is to get these bells away from me. As he placed the timer on the stump, having arrived, it was time that they perform their tests. A test that had a low rate of passing. A very low rate. But everyone had to perform this test. So here they were, ready. As Kakashi told them what the test entailed, Hinata was confused, so was Sadara. As Sadara voiced her opinion, you said that if we get a bell we pass, but there's only 2 bells. I'm assuming that it doesn't matter what we do. One of us will fail, no doubt. Exactly, said Kakashi. I'm glad you guys catch on so quickly. Therefore, only 2 can pass, and the one that does not pass will be sent back to the academy. Both girls were surprised to hear that, as many people expected a lot from them, and the thought of being sent back because they weren't good enough was not something they wanted to entertain, not at all. So they had to pass. However, they both glanced towards Naruto, realizing whose team they were on. From the shocking realization that he can simply bring certain things into reality. From him defeating Kiba with speed that none of them can follow from Hinata. Watching him manhandle a Jonin when he was 3 years old. The both of them knew that his strength was on a completely another level. That meant only one of them would be placed in a team with him. And only one of them would pass on. And the both of them were okay with those odds. Yes, they were quite okay with those odds. Kakashi told them to begin as both girls jumped away immediately. "Didn't you hear me?" he said, looking towards Naruto. "So the true meaning of this test, it's to see if we can work together, isn't it?" Kakashi blinked in surprise at Naruto figuring that out so easy. "Don't worry, you're not getting sloppy or anything. I'm just kind of a genius when I think about it. However, your true purpose is to make sure that those two can work together. Given the two opposite clans that you're from, and they don't really get along, it's gonna be hard. However, I'll give it a push, but I won't reveal it to them, to show you that, despite our differences, we can work together." "You say this like you're not in it as well," said Kakashi. "Oh, you misunderstand. I'm not," said Naruto. "I'm sure the Hokage told you about me." "Yes, he told me that you're special than most." "Well, that's an understatement," said Naruto, as he pat Kakashi on the chest. The copy ninja was confused. Did I miss something?" he asked himself out loud. "Oh, you did not." Kakashi truly wondered if he blinked or if he closed his eyes, as Naruto was now touching him on the chest. "I suppose the main reason why I'm here is to just give me understanding of what the world is, and camaraderie, because it's not because I need training or anything like that. In terms of powers, I'm far above you," said Naruto, "as you can see. So, I'll try to help those two push in the right way, and after that you can give us the go ahead in becoming a team." With that, Naruto walked away, leaving a truly shocked Kakashi Hatake. While the Hokage did say that he was special, that he was different than most kids, it was a true underestimation of his skills. Kakashi swore that he did not blink. There was no hand signs, no burst of chakra that meant that was all speed. But how could he be that fast? It didn't make sense, the copy ninja thought to himself. Time skip. Kakashi Hatake arrived late as usual. "You missed the meeting, as usual." "Well, I had to do some extra one-on-one with my team. Sorry about that," he said, scratching the back of his head. "Hiruzen sighed, and how did things go?" "They pass." "You don't seem surprised," Kakashi said. "I'm not. Those two girls are quite something. Naruto, on the other hand, he has this thing about him that gets other people to easily trust him. And it has nothing to do with his abilities or powers, he's simply trustworthy. I believe that he would have been able to convince those two to work with him. Let me guess, he already knew the meaning of the test and what everything was." "Yes, he did. But sir, let me guess, he showed you that he was much faster or stronger than you, and tell you that this test was not for him." "Were you watching?" "No. I've just come to know Naruto so much that I know everything that he's gonna do out there. And he's right. As much as it might seem rather shocking, I don't think there is anyone in the village that could actually defeat him in raw power, or in anything else. The more he grew, the more his knowledge capacity keeps on expanding." "Sir, are you saying that you..." "I don't think so, Kakashi. You've never seen it, but I have. The amount of power this child wields is nothing ordinary. He possessed chakra, but he also possessed a vast amount of spiritual energy, which can be manipulated as ki, a different form and sign of the body that could augment certain areas. While in this world there are little that possess small amount of ki energy, he on the other hand, it seemed to be unlimited. which allows him to do all those crazy stuff that he does. And now that he's on your team, I can tell you that the purpose of him being there is not for you to train him, because everything that you already know, he's going to know by simply looking at your technique. Sir, you make it seem like he's unstoppable. In a sense, I believe that he is. Kakashi looked towards him with a worried gaze, understanding the claims of these words. Don't worry, this village is in safe hands. I have put my blood, sweat, and tears into that to make sure. There was a reason why I had to fake his death. To this day, the villagers are not aware that he was the container of the Nine Tails. Wait, was? That's a different story entirely, but there's no need to worry about him. Everything is in safe hands. Hiruzen seemed resigned and rather confident in what he was saying, and rather okay with it. As they were talking, Naruto was heading home. As he stopped and had some wonderful ice cream, there was this nearby ice cream parlor that was just truly amazing. He guessed he will have some ramen tomorrow at Ichiraku Ramen. The ice cream though was truly delicious. Naruto had enough though of his stalker disappearing with blinding speed. The transition was something that most humans could even hope of following. Who are you? Said Naruto. As Naruto was standing on top of a building, talking to something, because whatever that was, he could tell that it wasn't human. The thing was cloaked in shadows. As Naruto noticed something odd, these shadows were not because of any obstruction. This thing, whatever it was bathed in these shadows. Naruto held his arm out as an orb shoot upwards and bathed the area in light, revealing the thing to him. And for the first time, Naruto was actually surprised. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace, guys.